This is the story of Waymo and how Robotaxis quietly went from science fiction to real city streets. It doesn't honk, it doesn't wave you through, it doesn't get distracted, and there's no one behind the wheel. A car pulls up, the steering wheel turns, the brake lights flash, the door unlocks, but the driver's seat is empty. This is not a concept video, this is not a tech demo, this is happening right now. The story begins in 2009. Inside Google, a small experimental project started with a radical idea. What if computers could drive better than humans? Not assist, not warn, fully drive. The early vehicles were modified Toyota Prius cars with a spinning lidar sensor mounted on top. They looked strange, almost fragile, but under the surface they were learning. In 2016, the project spun out from Google and became its own company under Alphabet Inc. And the name was new, the mission wasn't. Waymo, way forward in mobility. And this wasn't about autopilot. It wasn't driver assistance. It wasn't lane keeping. This was level 4 autonomy, meaning the car drives itself within defined geographic zones without a human backup driver. So, how does it actually work? Waymo vehicles rely on sensor fusion. On the roof, LiDAR units fire millions of laser pulses per second, building a precise three-dimensional map of everything around the vehicle: cars, pedestrians, bicycles, curbs. Radar detects movement and measures speed. It sees through rain and fog. Cameras interpret traffic lights, road signs, lane markings, and subtle human cues. All of this data feeds into the Waymo driver, a powerful onboard computing system that predicts what every object around the car might do next. It doesn't just react, it anticipates. If a pedestrian steps toward the curb, the system models multiple possibilities. If a car ahead signals, it predicts lane changes before they happen. But sensors are only part of it. Waymo pre-maps its operating cities in extraordinary detail. These high-definition maps measure lane widths, curb heights, traffic light positions, even the slope of the road, down to centimeters. The robotaxi already knows the environment before it ever picks you up, and when it doesn't know something, it slows down, cautious by design. In October of 2020, Waymo launched one of the first fully driverless ride hailing services to the public in parts of Phoenix, Arizona. No safety driver, no one in the front seat. You open the app. The car arrives. You get in. It drives. Since then, Waymo has expanded into San Francisco, Los Angeles, and other major markets, steadily increasing fully autonomous miles driven. Not test miles, passenger miles, millions of them. The fleet today primarily uses modified Jaguar I-Pace electric SUVs. The sensor stack is no longer an obvious spinning dome. It is integrated, sleeker, quieter, industrial. Inside the vehicle, the experience feels surprisingly normal. A screen shows the car's perception view, animated outlines of surrounding vehicles and pedestrians. There is remote customer support available if needed, but the driving decisions are made by the system itself. Of course, the journey hasn't been frictionless. There have been regulatory reviews, city debates, questions about edge cases, discussions about urban congestion, and comparisons with competitors. Autonomous driving is not just a technology shift, it's a cultural one. It forces a question: are we ready to give up the wheel? Because this isn't cruise control. This is a fundamental change in how cities move. Waymo's data suggests lower crash rates in its operational zones compared to human averages. But independent analysis continues. Public trust builds slowly. Still, the momentum is real. The vehicles no longer look experimental, they look normal. And that may be the biggest shift of all. The quiet revolution. No press conference explosion, no dramatic announcement, just a car pulling up with no one inside. The future didn't roar onto the highway, it arrived softly, and it's already giving rides.